Hi, welcome to Astro Babble. I'm Donna from Donna B Astrology.
And I'm Linda from Scullywag Astrology.
And today we are going to be talking about the year ahead forecast for all the major transits for the sign of Cancer. So this will be all of the planetary movements that you'll need to pay attention to for the year of 2024.
Let's get to it.
All right. The first planet that we're talking about is going to be Mercury, and Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. It's the fastest planet that we have, and that I think is what causes it to go into retrograde so often, because it's going to go into retrograde. It's going to squeak out 4 times this year. Only because usually it's about 3 times a year, but it's going to squeak out one because at the very beginning of January 1st, it's going to end its retrograde period. So it's actually going to start December 13th, 2023 in Capricorn. And then it's going to station direct in January 1st in Sagittarius. And that'll be taking place in your 7th and 6th house. So it's going to start its shadow period in your 6th house. It's going to go into the 7th house, go retrograde, and it's going to go back through some parts of your 7th house and parts of your 6th house. And that is going to cause in the 7th and 6th house are issues to do with your significant other or the one-on-one relationships that you have. It could also have to do with the people that you work with. It's the 6th house is illness and could even be pets. This is it's a fast moving planet, so it's a relatively quick retrograde period. It only lasts for 3 weeks, but I think on the whole might end up being a 5-week total period when you're including the shadow periods. So yeah, Mercury being one of the fastest planets, this is its first retrograde period.
Yeah, and we did a podcast all about Mercury retrogrades, and you can learn all about those. We'll put a description to that link, or a link to that, a link in the description for that. And from the 1st of April to the 25th of April, we will have a Mercury retrograde in Aries in your 10th house. So there may be miscommunications, misunderstandings, delays, mix-ups, snafus, all to do with 10th house topics, which are things like your career and public reputation. It's also authorities, so that's bosses. So you might see or hear from bosses that used to be, your boss and you haven't seen them for a while. Or it could be matters to do with career. Maybe you need to redo something. Could be reapplying for a job that maybe you were at previously, or a similar position. If you were this position a while back and you've moved on and done something else, you may be returning to a similar position perhaps.
Very interesting. And then a Mercury will station on August 4th retrograde in Virgo. And it's going to station direct August 28th, 2024 in Leo and this is going to be affecting your 3rd and your 2nd houses. So Mercury is going to be moving along and it's going to go into your 2nd house. It's going to go into your 3rd house and it's going to start its retrograde. So it's going to move back into your 2nd house again. So it's going to retrograde in the 3rd house and it will go into your 2nd house. And these houses are the houses of your finances and commerce. This is the house of the things that you value. So you might be readdressing things that you value. In your 3rd house, the themes that might show up are community and early learning or language. So these might be things that you're readdressing with your language, especially because, well, Mercury rules Virgo, so it has a lot of rulership and dignity in that sign, and that is the your 3rd house. So yeah, no, that is your 3rd house. Getting all confused here. And then so this is things that you'll be readdressing in the 3rd and 2nd houses.
And then from the 25th of November to the 15th of December, we're going to have Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, which is in your 6th house. The 6th house is illness. It's also pets. It's service to others. It can include people like doctors, nurses, first responders. So if you have a career where you are of service to others, it may have something to do with your employment. It may be you need to redo something. Maybe, for example, you need to go and take that first aid certificate again. I mean, I think everybody does I'm not sure whether it's yearly or bi-yearly or whatever. Or it could be something to do with a pet. Maybe, actually, it'd be interesting if a pet ran away, if it came back. I had that one year. Came back in the Mercury retrograde. Uh, Illness. So there may be a reoccurrence of an illness, or it could be something simple. I mean, I've seen this before, gone to have a scan done and got all the way to the clinic and then find out, oh, I don't have the paperwork, so I have to go back and get the paperwork. I've also seen it manifest as a woman who had a mammogram, and they said, oh, there's something not quite right here. Come back. We need to redo the mammogram. And yeah, so, sometimes maybe if you've had tests taken, maybe they're not clear. Maybe you need to have it redone, or, things like paperwork. It's usually not major issues. It's usually just inconvenient things. But in your sixth house, it's likely to have something to do with that. Sixth house is also employees. So if you're a supervisor, or if you have even tradespeople working for you, or if you have long-term employees, yes, there may be something to do with that. Maybe you see somebody that used to work for you, run into them, or, maybe you used to employ this person to do some gardening or something similar. And, now they've come back and, you need this done around the garden or whatever.
And then the next
Oh,
planet we are going to be talking about will be
sorry.
Venus. And Venus is the second planet from the sun. She moves quite fast. So she'll make it all the way around the zodiac for this year. And she's going to start off with her ingress, which is her entrance into Capricorn on January 23rd. This is going to be the seventh house. Now, Venus is a benefic planet. She's one of two of the benefic planets, and she is known as the bright one. When you go out in the sky and you see a bright star, it could possibly be Venus. This in the seventh house, she'll be, and this is the seventh house. Well, you would think that it would be naturally for her house. It isn't. I think it is because it has to do with the relationships you have with one other person, and Venus is all about relationships. So this could be good things that are coming to you in the house of Venus, or in the house of Capricorn in the seventh house. This could be a romance that starts. You finally get that doctor's appointment you've been looking for, or that new hair, that new hair style place that you've been wanting to get to. This could all these are the things that you would be able to accomplish in this period of time when Venus is in your seventh house.
And from the 16th of February, Venus moves into Aquarius in your eighth house. The eighth house is other people's money, which can include your partner's money. And Venus usually brings nice things. So sometimes there's a gift or some benefit involved. So maybe your partner, or whether that's a business partner, romantic partner, or it could be a close friend, maybe they come into a little bit of money, maybe they got a bonus and they're kind of like, yeah, let's go out to somewhere really swanky for dinner or a holiday, or maybe just a little bit of extra cash or a gift. That would be nice. Yeah, so just beneficial things. It's also inheritances, loans, debts, taxes, insurances. So maybe, you don't owe the tax department money. Maybe you get a refund at this time, or, you have something that you had to claim on insurance and you get more than you expect. Just something, just a little benefit in some way.
Very nice, something to look forward to for sure. And then on March 11th, Venus will move into Pisces, your ninth house. And this is the house of higher education, esoteric subjects like astrology, tarot, as well as law, and publishing. So you might get a benefit through any of these themes. Um, like if there's a to get your book published, this might be a time when you find a publisher who says, yes, I want to publish your book, or things like that. This is a very nice time for, with Venus is in this house, she's exalted in this house, so she does have some tools, and she has a little bit more strength than the other houses that she doesn't rule. So, but this is one of those houses where she does have a little bit more extra nice stuff to get to you. So this is going to be a good time for you,
Yeah.
starting March 11th.
Yeah. Could be romance with somebody from a different country or culture too.
As well.
Uh,
Yes.
from April 4th, Venus is in Aries, where she's in detriment. So she's not as strong in this house. It's in your 10th house, though. So that's your career and public reputation. She's still a benefic, though. She still brings good things and harmony, and just things are just kind of nicer when Venus is in that house. So your relationship with those that you work with, whether that's colleagues, clients, or bosses, is likely to improve. The 10th house is also bosses, so generally speaking, that's a good time. Yeah, things should just be more harmonious and agreeable. For some, there might be a romance that's somehow linked to work and or public reputation. Maybe your relationship is in some way in the spotlight because the 10th is a very, very visible house.
On April 29th, Venus will move into Taurus, which is your 11th house. And Taurus is the house that one of the houses that she rules. The 11th house is the house where you have your groups, your hopes and dreams, your friends, your associations. These are you could very easily see a benefit with all of those themes, as far as getting together with a really good group. If you play in a band and you're looking to find a band to play your guitar in, that you might very well find a group for this, especially with Taurus. It's more tangible. I'm thinking are going to be the benefits, something that's a little bit more tangible, because Taurus is the house or the sign that is more tangible, more tactile. It's a tactile house.
Because it's an earth sign, yeah. And from May 23rd, Venus will be in Gemini, which is kind of a flirty position for Venus to be in, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So lots of communications, lots of flirty. It's in your 12th house, which is a secret and hidden house. So it may be, if there is a romance, it may be a little bit more behind the scenes. Maybe you're kind of keeping it quiet for now. It could also be potentially with somebody from a foreign culture, simply because the 12th house is the house of exile. But the 12th house is more commonly known as the house of our undoing. It's also places of retreat. It's places of confinement as well, like prisons and hospitals. So I suppose it's possible that romance could be linked to places like hospitals or prisons or spiritual retreats, monasteries, that sort of thing. Could be perhaps your downfall at this time, but look, it's a benefic. It's in Gemini. It's not in particularly bad shape. It's not in fall or detriment. I think this is just more of a low-key, behind the scenes romance, or it could be something to do with art, beauty. We think of Venus, we think relationships, but it's not just relationships. It's also harmony and beauty and art and values and all sorts of things. So you may be working on some artistic project behind the scenes or something similar.
Very nice. And then on June 17th, Venus will move into your first house of Cancer. And this is the house of, if you're going to have a benefic anywhere, in your first house is a great place to have it, because this is going to be you're going to receive good things coming directly to you. This is the first house of self. So if you are interested in getting a new hairstyle, a new wardrobe, those types of things, this will be the good time to do it, with Venus assisting your selection on hairstyle or wardrobe choices. This is also a time where you might change, if you had one particular, if you were studying something, might want to, pick up something else. This would be a time to do that, because it's for yourself. So it only has to do with you and your goals. So this is a great time to have a benefic in your house. Is going to be June 17th and June 17th to July 11th. So those are the times when you can get that hairstyle that might be a change, but I think you're going to like it. It's
Yeah.
likely that you will like it.
Mhm. And from July 11th to August 4th, Venus is going to be in Leo in your second house. This is really nice because this is the house of your personal finances and income, your resources, what supports you. And that can be people, that can be things, that can be money. But yeah, look, there's likely to be some benefit. Maybe there's a little bonus at work, or maybe somebody gifts you something really nice, something that you really appreciate and that's really helpful to you in some way.
And then on August 4th, Venus will move into Virgo, the third house. And the third house is the house of your brothers, your siblings, your cousins, even, as well as your community and how you travel. So this would be the house of, in Virgo, she doesn't have as many of her tools. She's in fall here, but this very well could be the time when you get, a new car, or a new school, or something might happen. This could also, because Venus is associated with social events, this could be a time when your whole family gets together right around between August 4th and August 29th. This is a good time to, get everybody together and shine your Virgo or shine your Venus.
Well, Venus and Virgo would like organizing all that too, I imagine.
You would.
And
Definitely.
And from the 29th of August to the 22nd of September, Venus is going to be in Libra, which is very nice. It's a sign that it rules, so it's very strong here. It's in your fourth house, which is a nice angular house, and it's associated with your home and your parents. It's also your living conditions and real estate matters. So this might be beautifying your home. It might be your relationship with your parents might be particularly pleasant at this time, because Venus does have that harmonizing vibe with it. It just makes things go just a little bit more smoother. So yeah, there might be some benefit. Maybe there's some benefit through parents, or yeah, maybe real estate matters go well for you at this time. Maybe you get more for that house that you were trying to sell, or if you're buying, maybe it comes in at a much lower price than you were expecting. But yeah, not always huge things. It's a benefic, but it just brings lightness and joy, and just a lightness, kind of lightens things up. And in
Very
a
nice.
sign of Libra, just pleasant.
And September 22nd, Venus is going to move into Scorpio. Scorpio is your fifth house. And she usually is not comfortable in a Scorpio house, as it is normally run by Mars. And she is more of the loving side of our solar system. So, but in the fifth house, she has her joy there. So this would be absolutely wonderful for creativity, any creativity projects that you might have. This might be a time, if you are of the age to have a baby as well. This is the house of what you create, and that would include children. This is Venus in the fifth house can bring you the those football tickets that you've been looking for. This is the house of hobbies and group events, for like a sporting event, or you know, the concerts. This is the things that she would do for hobbies. So yeah, this is a great house to have Venus in. If Venus has to be in a house where she's not comfortable, being in the fifth house is a nice choice for Venus, because should be more of a benefit than having her be hindered by a not nice sign. It is a nice sign, but I'm not saying I'm a Scorpio,
But
so
Venus,
it
it
is a
doesn't
nice
do well
sign.
there. Hmm.
It's in her fall or detriment. She's in detriment there.
Hmm.
And I think. Well, anyways, but she does not have all of her tools. She has no rulership here, but it is the fifth house. She does have her joy there, so this would be a really good house.
Yeah. And from the 17th of October to the 11th of November, Venus will be in Sagittarius. This is your sixth house, which includes illness, pets, employees, and service to others. So there may be some benefit through that. Maybe somebody you work with, because sometimes it can be co-workers. Maybe you benefit through a co-worker or through an employee. Maybe they're able to assist you in some way, and that's beneficial. Could be romance with a co-worker perhaps, or an employee maybe, or potentially somebody who works in service to others. So that would be like your first responders, your doctors, your nurses, your firemen, your police people. Yeah, you may benefit through a pet somehow. Yeah, it could be related to illness. Maybe if you've been struggling with some illness, maybe it improves somewhat at this time, because, you know, it is a benefic. They do tend to help. The sixth house is one of the more awkward houses. It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
It's a house to take notice of. It could have some challenging things in there.
But it should bring some ease, you know, and some harmony, you know, and this could be just, you know, relationship with, you know, your co-workers or employees is just much more harmonious at this time. Or you may want to beautify where you work.
Or get together with coworkers after work
Yeah, that could be fun
for
too.
drinks.
And then that leads to the romance. And
I wasn't going there, but anyways. And
that could
then on
happen.
November 11th, Venus is going to go back into Capricorn, where she started out this year, or going to be starting out this year. Yeah, this is her first ingress this year. So it'll be the seventh house. This is Capricorn that Venus will be moving into. And the seventh house is, you know, the house of the other. So you could, as Linda was saying, you know, get that office romance going if you are of eligibility. And yeah, this is the one-on-one relationships. It's also, it's if you've been trying to get into this one hairdresser and you finally can get in, this might be the time when you can finally make that appointment. This is the time you're going to get a benefit from the one-on-one relationships, whether it's a business partner, a significant other, a doctor. If you have a commitment with another person and that they need to see you, whether it's a doctor, a hairdresser, a dentist, a lawyer, who else would you make an appointment with? An insurance salesman, you know, whoever. But it's the one-on-one appointments that you're going to get a benefit from. So keep an eye on what appointments you're making. So hopefully, if you are a Cancer rising, this would be a good time to make those appointments.
And from the 7th of December, we have Venus in Aquarius in your eighth house. The eighth house is shared finances and resources, other people's money. So this can include things like inheritances, debts, loans, taxes, insurances, it's financial agreements, it's pooling your money with another. So you're likely to benefit in some way. Maybe your partner gets a bonus at work and decides to treat you in some way. Or maybe you've applied for that loan and you didn't think you would get the amount that you want, but you end up getting a little bit more than you needed. Or maybe there's a nice tax refund or something similar. In some ways, you're benefiting. It's just Venus brings a little bit of ease and harmony.
And then the next planet that we're going to be talking about is Mars. And Mars is just the other side of us. It does not go as fast as Mercury and Venus around the zodiac. This one will only make it through a little bit more than halfway around. This planet has a lot to do with anger, aggression, leadership, as well as bleeding and fighting. And what am I forgetting? I think I'm forgetting something. Could also be accidents as well. Mars is known for the sudden things that happen to you that you end up getting hurt by not thinking, by acting in without thought. So that's what Mars is. Mars does. Mars just wants to go do it and ask questions later. So you need to really keep an eye on Mars and keep him in check, or use him in a way that's beneficial and positively through physical activity, because that will also help out Mars. And Mars will be moving into Capricorn, your seventh house, January 4th. So the seventh house, you want to be careful of how you talk to other people, your significant other, if you're a Cancer rising, to make sure that there's not separation, to make sure that there's not anger or harsh words. That's what Mars is known for. So those are the things that you would want to be careful of it, but it would be a good opportunity to go out for a walk with your significant other. Use that energy with your significant other. That's what Mars really wants you to do, is use that physical energy with your significant other when it's in the seventh house.
Mars is exalted in Capricorn, so it's a good, if you can use that energy positively, anything physical will help. So from 13th of February to March 22nd, we have Mars and Aquarius in your 8th house. So there may be disagreements, there may be a little bit of aggression or fighting regarding shared finances and resources at this time. That may have to do with inheritances. It could be financial agreements. It could be loans, debts, taxes, insurances, similar matters. One way to mitigate Mars is usually to be physical, but I mean, a lot of these topics are not necessarily physical topics, and it tends to be all about shared finances and resources. So it probably will be a little bit difficult here to have a way to really mitigate this. So just be aware that it's unlikely to run smoothly regarding those topics. More likely to be problematic if you have planets, say, in the 8th or possibly the 2nd, if they're being opposed, or where would the other ones be? The 11th and 5th, but probably the 8th, 2nd houses would probably be more indicative of those issues.
Mars will be moving into Pisces March 22nd, and that's going to be your 9th house. And this is the house of, anger and aggression around publishing, finance, esoteric subjects like astrology, tarot, and foreigners. So take a check and make sure that you're fighting for the right reasons. This is in the 9th house is the house of, typically it's the natural ruler of Jupiter, where you're looking for those long-term goals and the good of everybody. So try to keep those in mind. Keep the 9th house really in place when you're thinking about Mars in Pisces. I don't think that Mars is working really well in Pisces, as it's the exaltation place of Venus, so it can't be working well in Pisces. Because Mars wants to go out in aggression and do things. It's not really in for the conversations that Pisces likes to see. So that might be the struggle or the issue, but just make sure that you're trying to mitigate, and you're fighting for or standing up for, because Mars's leadership as well. You're standing up for those foreigners, or you're standing up for a legal matter, or or your book, if you wrote a book, if you want to stand up and get it published, this would be a good leadership type thing
Yeah.
for Mars to be doing.
Yeah, Mars is also bravery as well. So yeah. Interesting. From 30th of April to the 8th of June, Mars is going to be in Aries, which he rules. So it's a sign where he's very comfortable in. And this is your 10th house. So this is a great time for, just throw your energy into your work or whatever you're known for. This is also the house of honors and rewards. So this is, Mars and Aries can just go forward. It just wants to go forward, and in Aries, it's just really able to. Lots of energy, lots of drive, lots of ambition. You may need to watch that you're not a little bit more aggressive than you realize with clients or authorities, bosses, those you work with. But look, should be a really good time to really plow through a lot of work.
Mars will on June 8th will enter Taurus, and Taurus is the house of associations and friends. So that's the 11th house, and you have the leadership, qualities at your disposal to use to get together a softball team in your community, or this is your groups and associates. This would be a good time to as well join a softball league or something like that. It's in Taurus, so he doesn't really feel very comfortable in it, but this is definitely something that's tangible. And if you use that physical energy in the groups and associations by joining a game, this would be a good way to mitigate that.
Yeah, or maybe dance class or because we do have it Venus ruled. So yeah, or I believe martial arts is very good for Venus ruled Mars. So maybe something
Oh
similar.
yeah.
From July 20th until September 4th, we have Mars in Gemini, talky aggression. It's in your 12th house, which is your house of undoing. So you might want to watch what you say. Probably very easy to annoy the wrong people at this time. You could use this for actively working behind the scenes.
And this is that self-undoing. So watch your fingers. When you're slicing those tomatoes in Gemini, you want to watch your fingers, so you're not slicing them, because this is as Linda said, this is your house of undoing. So be careful with Mars as far as accidents. And then Mars will move into Cancer, the first house, on September 4th. And this is the house where, you could get into a lot of trouble by using those aggressive words. But this is also a house where you want to start doing a physical exercise or something physical in what would make you happy. So this is your goals. With Mars in there, this could also be what could possibly be separating you from other people. This is kind of what you are doing or what you're known for. So I would this is a more emotional emotional Mars in Cancer. So this would be definitely something to watch your emotions with. You don't want to separate, you don't want to accidentally close somebody off.
And then from November 3rd, we have Mars moving into Leo in your second house. Mars in the second house can, really inspire you to work hard to increase that personal income. But Mars in the second does tend to burn a bit of a hole in your pocket. So you might be working hard and bringing in that money, but you're spending it just as quickly. So just be aware. I don't have the dates here, but it must go. Oh, we have Mars retrograde in that house as well. Donna knows all about this. She had Mars retrograde in her second house. I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year previous. Yes, it was up until early January. It can be rather bothersome. We do have Mars retrograding from the 6th of December and to the 23rd of February, 2025. But we will feel it possibly from the shadow period from the 5th of October, 2024, when it will be in your first house, up until the 2nd of May, 2025. So this is going to mainly cover your second house of finances and income, personal finances, income, and possessions and resources. Yeah, I'm not sure if I've just mistyped that there. Where does it go to? Back to 17 Cancer. Oh, it will go back. Yeah, that should be second and first. I've been struggling with a lot of Mercury stuff. So if you're watching this on video, it's not the third and second house. It's the second and first houses that you need to watch out for. So yeah, just how you appear to others. And I mean, Mars in Cancer is in fall, I believe. Yes, it's in fall. So it's not a very strong Mars. It can be kind of a little bit overly emotional and get very het up. And, that may actually cause you to lose some money somehow, not necessarily, but yeah, you're spending big and, maybe that temper is going to have some sort of repercussions too. Mars in that first house, it can be just really big boost in energy, but emotionally driven. So you might want to try and keep an eye on that, particularly from the 5th of October to the 2nd of May, which I know is a long time, but what can you do? And obviously,
It is a slower planet.
Yeah. If you've got planets in Cancer or Leo, you're probably more likely to feel that Mars retrograde stronger than if you don't.
And then the next planet that we're talking about is Jupiter. Jupiter is one of the two benefics in the sky. Venus is the other one, and Jupiter is known as the greater benefic. So Jupiter will stay is pretty far out there. So it typically stays in the sign for about a year. And this year it's going to go into two different signs. It's going to be in Taurus, and then it's going to move into Gemini in May. But first, in April 20th, it's going to conjoin, Jupiter will conjoin Uranus. And those are the planets Jupiter wants to be expansive and beneficial, and Uranus wants to be explosive and freedom and revolutionary. So this is an aspect that's going to happen in Taurus. So wherever that is, it's going to be in your 11th house. So this is going to be something that could affect your groups and associations as well as friends. And this could be big, it could be explosive, it could be shocking, it could be uncomfortable even with Uranus in there, because Uranus isn't always comfortable. Yes, it is shocking, but it's not always it's to make you look at a situation differently. So that's and a lot of times that's not comfortable for a lot of people when you have to go into something and look at it in a different way. So this is going to be out of your normal, and that's going to be happening in your 11th house of friends, groups, hopes, and dreams. So that will be quite a change.
Yeah.
Should be quite a big event. There's the eclipses right around there. I'm sorry. There's going to be the eclipses right around there 12 days prior to that. So there's going to be a lot of energy with this.
Yeah, there is. And I mean, that particular eclipse is associated with kind of sudden activity as well. So could be very interesting. Jupiter is going to move into Gemini on the 25th of May, 2024, into your 12th house of your undoing. Jupiter is a benefic, but in Gemini, it's in detriment. It's in a sign that it's ruled by Mercury, and Mercury and Jupiter are very different. It's they're both interested in knowledge, but like Mercury wants to drill down into the minutiae, whereas Jupiter's more big picture orientated. It'd be interesting to see how this manifests, and obviously it will be different for different people. But you know that Jupiter likes to go big. This is the house of your undoing. So it could be that for some people, there's particularly not long beforehand, there's this Jupiter-Uranus in the 11th. Yeah, maybe there's excess of self-defeating habits, addictions, or just undesirable behavior. And maybe that brings in some sort of benefit, as in, like, you know, they often say you have to hit rock bottom first before you can heal. Or it could be quite helpful in general. It may be that, you know, you've been struggling with something and now you do start healing, and it may be somebody that can actually help, because, you know, if Jupiter, sometimes the planets can manifest as people. You know, maybe there's a sober coach or somebody that sponsors you to help you with an addiction. Or this is also places like hospitals and prisons, places of confinement or seclusion or retreat, like a monastery or a spiritual retreat. It's places of exile. So you may be, for whatever reason, very far from home, in very different circumstances. And that could be literally overseas, or that could be that you're entering an academy to study, or just far away from home. It's exile. For whatever reason, you're not in your usual place. Jupiter usually brings a benefit. As I said, though, Jupiter is not in the strongest position, unfortunately. She is going to retrograde in that house from the 9th of October to the 4th of February 2025. Or not she, he. So yeah, you know, maybe there's a bit of like go big or go home activity going on prior to that retrograde, and maybe that retrograde period is when you may need to go over and reassess some of those big over the top excesses, and maybe they're addressed then. And not everybody will experience, you know, something bad. I mean, some people will be working behind the scenes. Some people, you know, maybe just they're working on plans or ideas, or they're enthusiastic about something that's being kept secret for the moment. But if you have planets in that 12th house, yeah, it's more likely to be activated.
With the retrograde. Yeah,
Or
it's going to
mm,
retrograde between 21 degrees of Gemini and 11 degrees. So if you got planets in between any of those on the mutable signs, should be what, Gemini, Virgo,
age.
Sagittarius, or Pisces.
Mm. Oh, great.
Um,
I've got Mercury at in Pisces, so lovely. But
well, you might have some revisiting to do, and you know, this is going to be for the bigger picture. You know, Jupiter wants to move you to you know, seeing the bigger picture. So this might be
mm,
good for
mm,
a retrograde. And then the next planet we're going to be talking about is Saturn. And Saturn is a planet that is the second of the malefic planets. It is a planet that is has a lot to do with the time. Everything takes a long time when it has to do with Saturn. Saturn wants you to do hard work. Saturn wants the long haul. You know, have you gotten out your building permits? You know, have you followed all of the rules? Saturn is going to be staying in Pisces all this year. He's not as strong as he has been in the last 5 years, as he was in his own signs. This is not his own sign, and this will be in your ninth house. And the house is the house of the of higher learning. So this is definitely going to be fitting in with you. You know, if you are in college and not the any of the higher education places, this would be a good time to, you know, start that hard work and buckle down and nose to the grindstone, shoulder to the wheel, and get it done. That's what Saturn's asking you to do.
Mhm. Saturn will be retrograde from the 29th of June until the 15th of November 2024. It's also happening in your ninth house. So during this time, as Donna was saying, Saturn's about restrictions, limitations, and hard work. So maybe at this time you may feel those restrictions and limitations a little bit more than usual. You know, they may seem a little bit more insurmountable at this time. Yeah, you know, and you may need to go back over things somewhat, you know, particularly if it is something to do with higher learning. Maybe you need to reapply yourself to learning that particular subject more in depth, or if it's, you know, regarding other topics like the law or publishing or foreigners or beliefs, you know, you may just not feel as good about those topics. You may feel a little bit defeated. And, you know, that's natural. Just, you know, particularly if you have planets in that ninth house and it's making contact, you may feel it more strongly at that time.
Saturn wants you to take notice. And then the next planet we're going to be talking about is Pluto. And Pluto in 2024 is finally going to move. It's been doing a dance between two signs, Aquarius and Capricorn. It's trying to get into Aquarius. It is the planet of transformation. It's the planet of, you know, burn down into the ashes and come up rising as a phoenix. This is the planet of, you know, try to get out of your life whatever is not working or will not serve you in the long run. It's typically a struggle when this happens. It tries to give you bits and hints of what might be transforming out of your life. Pluto is the planet that makes small things big or big things small. So this is definitely a transforming planet. It's asking you to get rid of things that no longer serve you. And it is typically uncomfortable if you're not ready for it. So give Pluto some thought, and it will re-enter Aquarius January 20th of 2024. It was briefly in Aquarius in the 8th house from March 23rd to June 11th of 2023, and then before it went back into Capricorn. So we did get a taste of Pluto in Aquarius. So hopefully those themes were good for you, and those are the themes that you're kind of on par with changing in your life, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, Pluto will re-enter Capricorn on the 1st of September 2024. It doesn't get very far back, only to about, I think, 28 degrees of Capricorn. That will be in your 7th house of your closest one-on-one relationships. So that's partners, whether that's business or romantic. It's very close friends. It can also be clients. If you work very closely one-on-one with clients, it could include those as well. So there may have been some sort of transformations going on regarding your closest relationships. And yeah, particularly if you have planets very late in Capricorn or your descendant very late in Capricorn, this is the final time it's going to be in here. It's going to leave on 19th of November 2024, and it won't come back to Capricorn for another 240 something years. So particularly if you have planets or a descendant very late in Capricorn, this could be wrapping something up. So that's from the 1st of September to the 19th of November. And if it's at the very late degrees, like 29 degrees of Capricorn, you may still feel it when it's in Aquarius at that 0 or 1 degrees. But yeah, at least it's moving out of your seventh house. And yeah, you know, your relationships, because Pluto's been in Capricorn since 2008. So over the last, what is that, 8, 12, 16 years, there may have been quite a few changes in your closest one-on-one relationships.
Yes, it can be very transformative, especially in the seventh house, I would think, you know.
Mm,
And then Pluto is going to re-enter Aquarius October or November 19th of 2024. And then Pluto will remain in Aquarius in your eighth house. And that's the house of shared finance resources, and it'll stay there until March 8th of 2043. So a very long time. We're talking 21 years for you to get comfortable with. And that has a lot to do with other people's money. So if banker, this could be definitely or if you were looking into being a banker job, this definitely be a nice change for you. If you were a baker making cakes and you went to be a banker, this is definitely, if you were a Cancer rising, this would definitely be fitting. I think a lot of bankers have a lot of planets in the eighth house. Anyway, but Pluto is going to be in there till March 8th of 2043, and then it'll move into Pisces into your ninth house. And Pluto will dip back into Aquarius one more time before moving into Pisces on January 19th, 2044.
yeah, that's a long time. So you can expect, you know, changes going on to do with shared finances and resources. But, you know, it's not going to be like, oh, it's moved into there and it's all suddenly changed. You know, you possibly won't notice it unless you have planets at the early degrees of the fixed signs. So Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, and Taurus. But don't worry, it'll get to you.
And then the next aspect we will be looking at are the eclipses, and those are always fun. They are fun to go and see if you can see them. Make sure you are wearing eye protection, as they can be very dangerous for your eyes. But they fall in sets of twos or threes, and we typically have two sets a year. And so the first set will be the lunar eclipse on March 25th, 2024 at 5 degrees Libra, 7 minutes, and that will be happening in your fourth house. And eclipses are known for taking things in or taking things out of your life. They're symbolic of a change of some. And Linda and I did a episode on eclipses, and hopefully you will link back to that. And in the fourth house, you can expect changes, things coming in and out of your fourth house is your home or your parents' home or something like that. If you're a Cancer rising, this could very well affect your fourth house in a way. And then the other eclipse that we're going to have is a solar eclipse. That's happening April 8th, 2024 at 19 degrees Aries, 24 minutes. And that's going to be happening in your 10th house. Now, those are on the axes. So usually the eclipses ride the axes and then move. They're in there for about 18 months. And this will be in the 10th house. And the 10th house is what you're known for or your career. So definitely things could be happening in those areas, and there is a flavor to each eclipse. And Linda, we have our Bible out, our Bible written by Bernadette Brady on the Eagle and the Lark, and she wrote a great book on eclipses. And you have it handy?
I certainly do. Yes. Yeah, solar eclipses travel, well, they come in what we call Saros series. You know, we have 2 solar eclipses at least every year, sometimes more, but every 18 years you have an eclipse from the same Saros series happen. And this one is part of Saros series 8 North. And what Bernadette says about this series tends to be involved with inventiveness and flashes of genius, are hallmarks of this Saros series. The individual will have intuitive leaps, insights, good ideas, visions, or vivid dreams. This newfound inspiration will pull the person away from his or her social life or relationship, thereby causing strain in the private life. This is a time when the person needs to be free, if only for a few weeks. And because the Saros series do happen every 18 years, you know, you have an eclipse in the same Saros series, sometimes there's a linking from events from 18 years or 36 years and, you know, all these different things. So you may find this has something to do with events in 2006, 1988, 1970, or 1952.
Very interesting. And I sure hope that our Cancer listeners will write in and let us know what's happening in these houses. I mean, the 10th house is a very visible house, and this is a pretty good eclipse that we're about to have, with it being a total eclipse, and it's going to be the second arm of the first one that happened October 14th, on the center point being San Antonio, Texas. It should be very interesting. I would love to hear what's happening with your eclipses if you are a Cancer rising, that's for sure.
Yes. And then on the 17th of September, we have a lunar eclipse in Pisces. This is the first of the Pisces Virgo eclipses. This will be in your 9th house. So this may involve something to do with foreigners or foreign travel, foreign countries. It may be esoteric subjects. It could be publishing of the law. It could involve religion or beliefs or other cultures, or higher education. So lunar eclipses do tend to be felt a little bit more internally, and sometimes because a lunar eclipse happens on a full moon, it can be similar to a full moon. It can be about endings or culminations, but as it's an eclipse, it does tend to be a little bit more sudden stops, sudden starts. So that could be interesting. And then we have the solar eclipse on the 2nd of October 2024 at 10 Libra in your 4th house. So yeah, this is another solar eclipse. It's also associated, or maybe associated with events from 2006, 1988, 1970, or 1952. And Bernadette says about this Saros series, because it's Saros series 8 South, it can be about separation and loss, to be parted, to finish something, and to feel sad at its completion. Physical injury is also possible through overstraining one's strength. This is not the time to undertake strenuous physical activities. So that's happening in your 4th house. So maybe, you know, a month either side of that eclipse, don't decide you're going to completely renovate it. And I mean, not a good idea to start anything brand new during an eclipse if you can help it anyway. You know, new things may come into your life or disappear. But yeah, not necessarily a good time to start things, even though it's happening on a new moon, which is traditionally about new beginnings, new starts, and that. Try and hold off for a month. I was going to say, even though we did have the start of the Pisces Virgo eclipses with that September lunar eclipse, we do still have one more eclipse in the Aries Libra ones. That will be the Aries eclipse in March 2025.
So if you are a Cancer, Happy New Year to you. And if you know a Cancer, please share our video with them and give them a heads up of what they need to be watchful of. And we appreciate your sharing this time and watching our videos. We very much appreciate it. And thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate all that. If you're interested in astrology, we'd suggest that you like or subscribe. Every 2 weeks, we do horoscopes for the new and the full moon, and we look ahead at the times in between those new and full moons at what the major aspects are, and we go into details about those. So, so happy 2024. I hope it's all good for you, Cancer ascendants. Ciao.
Bye.